It's crazy what 4 years can do to a person. It's also crazy that I had to shoot this video on my birthday. Yeah, that's 17th if you're watching it on that time. What can 4 years or 4.5 years in this case do to the Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus? Let's find out. All my life on the tech space, I've always said I believe it's to be a better idea to go for older flagship devices over newer budget or mid-range devices. In this case, for the sake of this video, an older S series Galaxy rather than a newer A series in this case. So let's walk together through everything the S20, which was released in March 2020, has to offer. Apart from just being an older flagship, the phone is still very durable for a device 4.5 years later. I keep saying 0.5, 4 years later. Although my sister that owns this particular unit I reviewed is a danger to glass and ceramics, pun intended. The phone is surrounded by the Gorilla Glass 6. I know it's older than the Victus and Victus Plus, but it has Gorilla Glass 6 on both the back and the front glasses. It's older quite, but it's still flagship. It has an aluminum frame. The back glass is kind of glossy, so it leaves fingerprints, but thanks to, lighter colored models of that device, you can get away with fingerprints, unlike when you buy like the dark colored ones, like using a midnight iPhone 13 for instance. I mean, the fingerprints will be literally glaring at you from behind the glass. The phone is also very lightweight, even 4 years later, for something that is 6.7 inches. That's a big size. That's the size of every single Pro Max apart from the 16 Pro Max. So it's classified as a big sized phone, and it's very lightweight thanks to the aluminum frame. It has that curved build most of you still love. I know you guys have been hating the fact that the S24 Ultra and S25 Ultra would not have or do not have curved displays. The S20 lineup is the lineup that's the first in Samsung lineups to feature that traditional hole punch display most of you have on new flagship devices like the Pixel and the rest today. This was also the first Samsung phone or Samsung lineup to have that crazy price hike they all had. And they made a big breakthrough with camera lenses also. And there are many new things that set the path for the future Samsung phones, and they all started in the S20 series. Technically, Samsung stuffed many features in these phones. So let's check out some of them. When I started to review, it's like the first thing I noticed, as expected, is the display. The display is still so premium feeling, even in 2024. I mean, to me, this has the highest resolution ever on any Samsung phone. 1440 by 3200, that is crazy. The current Ultra, that's the S24 or 23 Ultra, has 1440 by 3088. Is that correct? The only downside to the display is that on that high resolution, that QHD Plus, you can only use 60 Hz. If you want 120 Hz, you'll have to downscale a bit in display settings to the full HD Plus option. To me, it's identical. Like when I look at both of them, not much differences, because the colors are still the colors, the pixels are still the pixels. It can't really turn off some pixels. It's still as saturated as most Samsung displays are. So when you consume content on this 4-year-old device, it's still perfect and gives a premium feel. You can stream up to 4K 60, watching Netflix and Amazon Prime and others. Very great experience. Clicking my sub button, also great. Throughout the end of September and beginning of October, there's been this crazy talk and conspiracy, but it's quite true actually, so it's not really a conspiracy, about iPhone displays and their promotion from the 13 Pro all the way to the 16 Pro Max, all having this 80 Hz in disguise of 120 Hz. Well, it's 80 Hz when you scroll very fast, and it's 120 Hz when you scroll slow enough for what you are scrolling to be legible to the human eyes. But good news on Samsung displays, you don't have to worry about that. I use a ProMotion iPhone, and when I was testing the S20 Plus, I could already tell the difference that while you scroll on the display of that S20 Plus, it's at least 100 Hz. Who knows, probably 120 full, but I could tell that this thing was scrolling buttery smooth, even at fast illegible scrolling. If you carry an iPhone 13 Pro, 14 Pro, 15 Pro, 16 Pro side to side with any Pro or 120 Hz Samsung phone, you can tell the difference in scrolling. That's for the S series though. I don't know how the A series behave. There's one weird thing I noticed when I was reviewing the display, one weird PMW-ish flickering kind of stuff, but I think it's quite common with PMW displays, because when I carry a camera and I face it at such display, you can tell the flickering is much more consistent, but then cameras would expose it because cameras will slow it down to 60 fps. It's nothing special though, I couldn't tell without looking at it through a camera lens, so no big deal. The display also houses that ultrasonic fingerprint scanner that is latest in trend that you know and love, so you won't feel left out when you're using it to scan your fingerprint. There's something I hate about the phone though. I mean, like, I reviewed the 12 gig RAM 128 gig variant, and I could tell that this phone was powerful enough to run One UI 6 at least. Even if it doesn't get One UI 7, it could get One UI 6 without being a problem, but for some reason it stops at One UI 5 or 5.1. That's the latest official support you get on Samsung. Although if I were you, I would probably get the phone and install a custom ROM. I mean, if you get the 12 gig RAM variant, you should be able to run pretty much anything that you can throw at that phone. In fact, I have already done a detailed battery test with Call of Duty Mobile, which is a game that's most demanding and like most popular on most people's gaming wish list when they are buying a phone to game. So I'll upload the video for battery test and gaming later. You guys should click that sub button so you don't miss out on it. Also, you can check out that for the base S21. I did that almost a year ago and people seem to like it, so you might like it too. It's up here, also linked to the video. But I'll say, when I compared the S20 Plus with what I got back then, the S20 Plus had a very reasonable improvement and it did well in my book. It is equipped with a Snapdragon 865 on the 7nm plus process, which matches the Apple A13 Bionic. It's 12 gigs of LPDDR4X RAM, 128 gigs UFS 3.0 storage, Adreno 650 GPU. It also has Wi-Fi 6, AX, and Qualcomm Snapdragon X55 modem with 5G NR. The 865 has a maximum frequency of 2.84 GHz, and when I benchmarked it, it fell short on the single core. But I think maybe it's just a little issue because when I used it to game, it was perfect. So, but multi-core was quite as expected. Yeah, it was around the average, but single core was a bit slower. Although I wouldn't see that as a problem because in practical performance, it did very well. You'll see a full scale of such performance in my upcoming gaming test. You know, there is an 8 gig RAM model for this phone or variant, but I'm very glad I got the 12 gig RAM because multitasking is very great on this phone. You can open lots of apps and come back after a while and none of them gets closed. I know RAM efficiency will be a factor, but that 12 gig RAM compensates for any inefficiencies in RAM management. The phone is very future-proof thanks to that RAM, and I even played a competitive Shadow Fight 4 multiplayer match with my 14 Pro Max, and my sister used that Samsung S20 Plus, and she beats me. Yeah, it's that smooth that she could beat me because I tried. I'm not really as experienced at the game as she is, but then she still beats me. So that's good. I mean, something I also don't like about the S20 Plus now is the haptics. The haptics are not even close to what I'll call good. Yeah, I've used iPhones for years, so you can't really blame me. I think generally it's a Samsung problem because even the S24, like, people keep talking about the haptics not even being close to the Pixel 9 or the iPhone 16, so Samsung needs to up their haptics. I tested the speakers though, they could be better, but I guess they are very loud. Yeah, but when I compare it side to side with its 12 Pro Max, the 12 Pro Max sounds far more superior, especially at those high ends. But the speaker is still flagship, you can tell. But what I'm saying is that I'm used to Apple speakers, so I can tell once I listen to a speaker that's not just there yet. Anyways, doesn't change the fact that it's still a very good deal for something priced at $257 starting on Amazon. For the battery life, it has 4500 mAh, which is not all that in the world of Android, but it's still very decent. You can still get up to a full day's charge, probably. That's if you're very nice to the phone. The phone also features that 25 watts super fast charging, although we have up to 45 watts now, but it charges quite well in around 1 hour 30 minutes when I use the 25 watt Samsung adapter, which is the specialized equipment you need to unlock that super fast charging. Otherwise, you get around 15 to 20 watts. It also has that reverse wireless charging thing that Samsung users can't keep short about. Yeah, and it's nice. I use it to charge my AirPod and it works. At least that's also something to say it has. It's a good thing. So all in all, when you weigh the S20 Plus and the premium features it has and Samsung decks and every other thing I just called. And then when you weigh the shortcomings, like the bad haptics, which is a general Samsung problem, it's not peculiar to the S20 Plus, and also the slightly mediocre speakers, and also the one or two, inefficiencies and one or two shortcomings. But then factor in the price for which you will get it, I would say it's still a very good steal in 2024. Just get that 12 gig RAM variant if you want to use it for a bit longer, and if you want to get that experience of multitasking I was telling you about. Mind you, I've used the base iPhone 12, the base iPhone 11, and the base iPhone 13. And I'll tell you that it's better to buy that phone than those other ones if you want to game well, because while the 11, 12, and 13 have better GPUs, that's the base model with 60Hz, they can't really tap that GPU because the thermal design is poor on those phones. They get really hot really fast. The camera still has that sharpening factor Samsungs always have, but it's still very premium, because at the end, premium is premium and budget is budget no matter what.